Coming up in today's Leeds news, Crew returns to Leeds under 21 loan, no plans to sell Meslier, Elland Road planning application update, and Leeds Sunderland match update. Morning folks, welcome to the Leeds View for Wednesday, the 24th of December with your Leeds United news. First things first, happy Christmas Eve. I hope you're all ready for the big man coming down the chimney tomorrow. If you've been good, if you've not, tough. You're going to have to just deal with that. Just to give you a quick update as well on the channel, there is the podcast from last night with myself and Jerry McNamee looking back at the weekend's action and the month that Leeds United have had so far, which has been incredibly positive, and a little bit of a look ahead to Sunderland. We will have a bonus podcast out on Saturday for your viewing pleasure, which will look ahead to the Sunderland game in a bit more detail with myself, Paul, and Oscar Marriott from All Leeds TV. You can check that out on Saturday. Today, there's a bit of chunky news to get stuck into, and we'll start with the return of a Leeds United under 21. Charlie Crew's loan last season at Doncaster Rovers was widely seen as a success. Enough so that they brought him back this season, one division higher. But it's safe to say that this season's loan hasn't gone as well as both Charlie and Leeds United will have wanted. This season so far, Crew has only managed to make 7 appearances for Doncaster Rovers and totalling 391 minutes. Half of that came this month alone. So it's not a massive surprise to many people that the decision has been made for Charlie Crew to return to Leeds United once the January window opens and he can move back towards the club. Doncaster boss Grant McCann has confirmed that the decision has been made to end his loan in the new year, but McCann has blamed international footballing appearances as the main reason for Crew's lack of minutes. And he said the following: Charlie has been stop-start and the international breaks haven't helped him. Going away 2 or 3 times, he probably hasn't got to the levels that I thought he would do and that he showed last year. Ironically enough, Crew's been pretty decent, impressive for the Welsh under-21s when he has played for them during those international break. But he does return now to Leeds United, and it'll be interesting to see what Leeds decide to do in this situation. Do they loan him out again for the second half of the season, or does he become part of the under-21 squad and maybe knock on the door around the fringes of the first team as well? It's an interesting call by Grant McCann. You would expect most managers to be able to manage and integrate players that are on international duty. It doesn't hold Grant McCann in great stead moving forward in his career if he ends up at a higher club with plenty of international players, if he can't manage to integrate players that are off on international duty back into a squad, and that the reason to cancel a loan is because, well, I can't play him because he's on international duty too much. Kind of seems an unusual decision to make, but that's that one. And at least the important part from Leeds and Charlie's development is he'll come back to the club, and Leeds will hopefully do something with him and get him on. There will likely be interest in Charlie Crew. He's a very good young player and he's got plenty of time ahead of him for his development. Let's move on and talk about another under-21 going the other direction. Plenty of goalkeeper news today, and Leeds under-21 goalkeeper Alex Baird has joined Northern Premier League Division 1 East side Bridgehouse Town FC on a short-term loan deal. Baird has been down the pecking order at the Leeds United under-21s. He's got some pretty stiff competition ahead of him in the form of Rory Mahadi and Daryl Ombang. Baird is also expected to move away from Leeds United permanently at the end of this season once his current deal expires. So this could just be a similar situation that Leeds have done before with players who are aging out of the under-21 system and moving on to try and get them a club before their deals finish at the end of their contract, or maybe just get him some more visibility to help him to get a move. Alex is a good young goalkeeper. He's actually relatively highly rated as well. He's just been unfortunate that he's got 2 very good young under-21 goalkeepers ahead of him in the pecking order. Leeds are not shy of decent goalkeepers in the academy right now. We wish Alex all the best during his loan. If we can get the information from the Premier League North Division East side, we will get that information for you during loan watch this season. Let's move on. During yesterday's press conference, Daniel Farke was asked about the immediate future of Leeds United goalkeeper Elland Meslier. And as we know, Meslier is out of contract at the end of this season. He can negotiate a pre-contract agreement once the window opens in January and then move away from the club on a free transfer at the end of the season. But Daniel Farke gave a rather strange, or at least protective, answer on this question, saying that he has no plans to sell anyone from the current group of Leeds United players unless they come to him and ask to leave the club. And as of right now, that has yet to happen. Now, the follow-up question to that question should have been, well, do you plan to offer him a new contract then, or are you expecting it just to go on a free transfer at the end of the season? But that question wasn't asked. But speaking on Elland Mellier's situation, Daniel Farke said the following: All of the players in the squad are part of my plans. All attention from myself is to each and every player, even if the players at the moment are not that much involved or just on the bench or sometimes not in the squad like Elland is in this case. I've made my feelings clear about him. I rate him that much. I think he's a goalkeeper full of potential. At this young age, to have so many games at Championship and Premier League level is very remarkable. Meslier is still 25 years of age and in goalkeeping terms would be still viewed as a relatively young goalkeeper. Most keepers don't peak until they hit between 28 and 35 years of age. So in that sense, there's still plenty of time, and he is viewed on the continent as a keeper with potential, as Leeds had him. But because of so many games he's played already, we're kind of probably viewing him as a finished article right now. But whether you like Elland Meslier or you don't like Elland Meslier, he is still also a Leeds United footballing asset and a club that isn't exactly flush when it comes to the PSR situation right now. Leeds need to look at moving on assets for some kind of money if they're not involved with the squad. The other side to this, though, is that Daniel Farke could just be a little bit protective of what Leeds' plans are coming into the January window and doesn't want to publicly state that a player is surplus to requirement and can move away from the club. Most managers won't state if a player is surplus to requirement unless they've had some sort of public falling out with them. But he is third choice right now. A free transfer at the end of the season for a player that Leeds did pay money for. He's well paid off his fee in terms of PSR, but it is still an opportunity to bring something in. But it is going to be interesting to see, do Leeds offer him a new contract? Do they see him developing further down the line, want to keep him around the place? Or do they just accept the situation that's there? Has he told them that he's not going to sign a new deal and he's not going to move in January? In which case Leeds' hands could be tied on that one. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation now once the window opens in January. There's been a host of clubs interested in Meslier, but they all want a free transfer come the end of the season. So we'll see what happens in the next week or two. Let's move on. Let's talk about some good news on the Elland Road redevelopment plans. Leeds have announced an update to the planning application for Elland Road yesterday with some positive information. This comes off of the back of the council planning panel meetings being cancelled for the last 2 months, and the next set of meetings won't be until early January and February. The update this time around contains some key information for supporters on supporter management and the away supporters' locations after consultations with groups and footballing authorities. The main update on this relates to the location of away fans, which were planned to be moved to the south stand temporarily while the redevelopment work of the west stand was being done. South stand did house away supporters for quite a period of time when Leeds United were in the Premier League before the financial crisis, but Leeds fans were against that proposal, with the south stand now becoming one of the loudest and most passionate parts of the Elland Road fan base, and moving them would have absolutely had an impact on the Elland Road atmosphere. But thankfully now there's some positive news. A statement on the south stand and the away supporters from Leeds United reads as follows. The club are pleased to confirm that away supporters will remain housed within the west stand both during and after the potential project is completed, and that the entirety of the seating behind the south goal will remain home supporters only. Everyone at the club recognises the impact that the supporters of the south stand can have on the pitch and how it helps Elland Road create an atmosphere which is envied across the world. The club say that the decision comes after meeting with supporters groups, the supporters advisory board, safety organisations and the Premier League as well. And Leeds have also moved to thank supporters that engaged in constructive feedback with the club. In terms of the planning and the overall work on Elland Road, the club also said that the planning officer's report issued on December 22nd has recommended the redevelopment project for approval, and a plans panel meeting on the 8th of January at 1:30 p.m. in the Civic Hall in Leeds is where Leeds hope to get the final green light to begin redevelopment work at the end of the season. These are some major steps in a positive direction for the redevelopment. It's still, as they say in this, a potential project until they can actually get a shovel in the ground. Marking work has begun and wiring work has begun around the West Stand right now. But they also move to say that the project will also see hundreds of jobs created in the local area during the construction phase, but also once it is all completed in shopping areas, retail, the concourse and in the hospitality areas of the new stands as well. So again, very positive news all around for what will be a fantastic looking Elland Road. Again, the big part being, can they contain that atmosphere? And looking at the plans, I think they can. Let's move on. As it is a short week and Christmas week, and we don't have any news out tomorrow, Christmas Day or St. Stephen's Day, Boxing Day in the UK, we'll give you some updates on this weekend's game before the podcast at the weekend. And from a Leeds perspective, there is some good news. Daniel Farke hopes to have Lucas Meche back involved with the squad heading to Sunderland on Sunday. He hopes that he will train with the team this week after finishing his individual work and recovery work over the last couple of weeks. No change on the Sean Longstaff or Dan James situation, but there are no new injury concerns for Leeds United heading into the game, which is very good news. But Sunderland on the other side have a host of players away at AFCON. They've got some injury doubts and some suspensions coming into the game. In terms of injury doubts for this, Aji Elise is still a doubt after he's recovering from a broken leg. He's expected to be in and around the squad, but he's not expected to make it back for this game. And Ahmed Abdullahi is recovering from an issue that he picked up after signing for the club in the summer and hasn't really been part of their squad so far. In suspension news, Captain Luke O'Nien will serve the final game of his 3-match suspension for this one, which is positive from Leeds. He's been involved, I suppose is the politest way to put it, in the games against Leeds United last season. But in terms of the AFCON section, Habib Diarra, who was a long-term injury for Sunderland, was back at the weekend, came off the bench, made his return, but he now heads off to the African Cup of Nations, and he joins up with the likes of Talbi, Siddiqui, Mazuaku, Traore and Reinildo, who are all gone for, well, at least as their national sides remain in the competition. So quite a lot of players missing from that Sunderland side. They're not all starters, and Leeds have played teams this season who have either been on the back of European games or missing a lot of players. Leeds still need to look after what they do first and foremost. But also, an interesting name to pop back up, Leo Hjelde is back in contention for Sunderland coming into this game after having an Achilles issue, but he's back involved and could play some part against his former side, but he's not really been involved for Sunderland over the last year and a bit since he joined the club, so it'd be interesting to see if he even makes the bench for that game. But folks, that will be it for me today. You can check out last night's podcast if you need some extra Leeds content, also available on all audio platforms. You can support us there. And if you want to catch the weekend's one as well, we'll have a match preview out on Saturday, again on audio and on video on YouTube. You can check that out, and then back for the watch along on bigup.com on Saturday, as well as the instant match reaction on Sunday evening. Outside of that, folks, have a fantastic rest of your day. Merry Christmas. Have a fantastic time with your families, and thank you for all the support this year. Enjoy the rest of your short week, and I'll see you on Saturday. Enjoy yourselves. See you later. Bye.